And the scene is set within the cellar bar. In the Nosferatu Elysium, Prince Stanhope sits in his designated chair upon the stage, still adorned in his white suit, his dyed blonde hair, the prosthetic horns upon his head, and elaborate white feathered wings which are blood-stained. He grips his gold filigree cane and surveys the room, watching the kindred go to and fro, mingling amongst themselves, plotting in their own minor jihads. It is here we will enter the scene.
Joshua Smith will enter into the Elysium, noticing the prince sitting at his throne. He'll give a very low and courteous bow before approaching.
Mr. Smith, good evening to you. Happy Halloween, I suppose.
Oh, thank you very much, Mr. Stanhope.
How
So
are
far...
you?
Oh, I'm sorry. Didn't mean to
Right.
talk out of turn, Mr. Stanhope.
I simply wish to say, how are you enjoying the festivities, Mr. Smith?
You know, I can't say that I know any better. The only 2 years I've been kindred, well, there was a war on, so this is quite a nice change. No bombshells.
Yeah,
Well, not physically anyway.
not quite yet. I suppose you didn't have time to see the Elysiums back then, the cabarets, the shows, a different era. A different era indeed.
No, the only Elysiums were all business.
Such a shame. Did you catch the Toreador Elysium last month?
I did. It was one of my first experiences in the city. It was all quite enjoyable.
I do enjoy your clan's entertainment. They always manage to bring levity towards the dark nights we live in.
He gives a very courteous nod and then takes a seat.
Seeing an opening in the prince's time, uh, Mr. William Red rises up from his table, still dressed in his bishop outfit, and he walks up to the prince and takes a reverentious bow. My prince, do you have a moment for me?
Of course, Mr. Red. How can I help you?
It is regarding our last discussion. I bring you an update report on the Department of Education.
Excellent. That is quick work, Mr. Red. Please, continue.
Well, it took so long. I wish I could have brought you more, but my resources can only do so much without attracting attention. The paperwork is done. I've laid down plans for, let's say, a very closely knit collaboration at first, so we may infiltrate it. We will collaborate both as an NGO and as a IT solutions company, which will provide the information that we need from them. At first, we will know who is the best, who is a potential candidate, who is not. And we will see with our evolutions how we can further manipulate this. For now, we have the paperwork done. We have, well, how should I put it? I've been busy looking for Kine to aid me in the task because I am going to need Kine workers working these, well, operations. I cannot handle everything by myself, of course. The first few steps are taken, and now what I'm going to need is to set everything in stone. Do you like what you hear so far, my prince?
I do, Mr. Red. I look forward to being able to guide the enlightening hand of education upon this city. I am a fond believer in the betterment of the kind. And you are correct, Mr. Red. Your resources can only go so far, which is why I have tasked another neonate to help you.
Oh? He looks very surprised.
Mr. Theo Anderson, the Toreador to this city. I believe a collaboration between you two for the mutually beneficial control of the court within this department would be beneficial. All the other coteries have at least 3 kindred, and seeing as you have done most of the legwork already, well, you are perhaps the closest to winning the prize.
Oh, I was not aware that there was a prize, and I thought that getting such a large task was an honor to grace me. He smiles and nods to the prince. I thank you for the aid that you are giving me, my prince. I'm sure that I can find good use for Mr. Anderson within this plan.
Excellent. Mr. Red, I believe that merit and ability should be rewarded. This is not a court that trusts only in blood and age, but also for ingenuity, initiative, the ability to plan ahead and overcome any obstacles. These are the kindred I like to foster within my domain, and you have pleased me greatly. It is my intention to perhaps build a new university within New Serum using the tithing fund that nearly all clans are contributing to.
Mr. Red takes a very small step backwards, not understanding how the tithe works. I'm not sure I was told of this tithe, my prince.
The tithe is very simple. The primogen of the city will incur 10% of their income, or goods or services therein, towards the use of the court. It is to help us rebuild the city, since the chaos of Mr. Eudocia's reign, well, stranglehold on the kind world has slipped tremendously, and so therefore the court needs all available kindred to batten down the hatches and allow us to foster influence within the city. Which is why I have tasked so many neonates with garnering influence in different areas of the city. With the reward, of course, for those who bring me the influence first, a boon and increased status. Second will just get increased status, and the last will be publicly ridiculed as useless failures.
The pressure is quite high for everyone involved in this competition of yours, my prince. But high pressure sometimes leads to high rewards, but I don't think this is the right moment for a psychological debate over which is better, the carrot or the stick.
I have had that debate many times, my Master of Harpies, Mr. Red. But I always believe that competition fosters greatness. We are beings that strive under pressure, that enjoy one-upping our confederates and peers, and being seen to be useful. However, it seems that a couple of the clans have yet to pay their tithe. You see, and, well, it is a new Elysium, and while the Bruja have not paid. That's understandable because their Primogen has been in torpor for half of the month, due to his own idiocy. The Tremere, however, have been strangely absent, and I have been rather courteous to remind them. My Senshell is Tremere after all, and so I thought it would be the first to line up. But this is something that I should take up with Mr. Brodinis rather than yourself. Do forgive me.
Joshua, smiling to himself, overhearing this, almost giddy internally.
My prince, I do think that would be the best course of action. I am but a lowly magus of the first circle, and even the other apprentices are higher on the Tremere hierarchy, so I am not very well versed in politics yet. I mostly keep to my own business, which involves furthering the agenda of the clan, and as well as my own personal study. Of course, in between these tasks, I so graciously put my attention on the task that you have given me as well.
I simply wish to lay the air, Mr. Red. Understand that after every Elysium I mark down which courts are in favour and which courts are not. And those not seen to be contributing to our city unfortunately lose favour, and I do not want you to believe that this is anything that you have done. No, 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 no. You are a shining example to your kin. But you say you are a magus of the first circle. What does that mean?
It means that I'm the lowliest as you can get. There is no going lower on the bar.
I see. So who would be above you?
Pretty much all the other apprentices.
No, I mean directly above you.
Hmm?
I'm trying to understand your Tremere mumbo-jumbo. Apologies. We in the Ventru have a very strict hierarchy as well, and I just wonder how it differs.
Well, it depends, but I do not think I am at liberty to talk very much about our hierarchy. Let's just say that I am at the bottom of the food chain, and I must prove myself to everyone, both inside and outside the clan, to gain any measure of prestige. And talking too freely about clan business would shine an ill light on this task, I believe.
At this, Joshua will interject and, well, Gandalf, why don't you go get yourself something to drink? You look like skin and bones, huh?
He laughs. Gandalf, a popular culture figure. I barely resemble him. Mr. Smith sees before him as Mr. Red takes off his mask. Bald man, tall bald man with a short goatee, not resembling Gandalf very much at all.
He looks at you for a minute. So you're still in training, your beard's still growing. Go get yourself something to drink.
I might. If the prince would give me leave, of course.
Of course, you are free to come and go as you wish. I do enjoy our conversations, Mr. Red. Is there anything I can help you with accomplish this task? Is there any roadblocks you are coming across?
The only roadblock I have encountered currently is where to hold a fundraiser. As you very well know, every such operation needs monetary funds, and I do believe we can drum them up as long as we have a suitable location for such a glorious event. I mean, select, of course. It is going to be black tie, very formal, so to speak.
Right, if you're looking for a formal event, I'd probably recommend you speak to one of my clan, the casino. Apologies, the theatre complex has many function rooms and very well well, let's say silver service staff. I'm sure we'll be able to accommodate such an event.
I will keep that in mind, my prince. Thank you. Is there anything else you wish of me?
Not at the moment.
Conversational or otherwise.
You may stick around. I always enjoy your input. If you wish to remain, or if you wish to mingle with the other guests, I will not hold it against you.
I would remain a bit. I am honored by your presence.
At this, Joshua will actually kick out one of the chairs and kind of point to it for Mr. Red to sit across from him.
He goes to the chair and accepts the invitation to sit down. He politely sits down, nodding his head in recognition. Hello, I do not think we've met. William Red. He extends a gloved hand.
Joshua will take the gloved hand in his own, give him a firm handshake, and kind of look him in the eyes. Joshua Smith. I'm fairly new to the city, but I do love my stories and I do love my characters. And you are definitely one of the latter. But I do want to hear your story.
It is a unfortunate story that I would rather not bring up. Let's say that to become Gandalf, one does have to make sacrifices.
Sacrificial stories are some of the best, my friend.
All I can say about my story, without being too loose of the tongue, is that pursuit of knowledge has brought me here. Much pursuit of knowledge. I have forsaken everything in my mortal life to pursue knowledge. At first, it was knowledge of others, of being able to bring others together. I am a linguist by trade. But besides knowledge of such humane arts, there were more darker secrets that I wished to know. Secrets that, even within kindred society, let's say, are not very well seen. And seeking such secrets is how I became the man that sits right in front of you.
Joshua will nod solemnly, then kind of think for a moment. So you say you've eschewed all of your things from your mortal life that you used to enjoy, just to pursue this knowledge?
Indeed. It was a very tense period of my life that has almost led me to insanity. Were it not for my sire, I'd probably be dead.
Boy, you two know how to have a good time.
We do, in our own way. It's rewarding, seeking knowledge. It's so rewarding, especially when you get to feel what you can do with the knowledge. He puts his hand forward, almost in a cup-like position, raising a goblet, and feeling a bit the blood coursing through his hands, his eyes lighting up, and having a great smile on his face.
Josh will kind of back away from the glowing hands. He goes, hey, I don't want you doing any of that mumbo-jumbo on me. I'm just...
Not glowing. They're not glowing. No masquerade breaches.
Okay. He looks at you and kind of quirks his head to the side. I think I know what you're saying, Mr. Red. I'm a pursuer of knowledge myself, but perhaps in a less esoteric way.
Oh, do tell. Knowledge in any form can be put to use, and sometimes the least esoteric knowledge can prove to be could prove out in the end to be more mystical than one would give it credit.
Well, I'm an author. I love writing crime novels. who did what, why, and to whom, and all the little details. I believe that you might have your magic, Mr. Red, but there's something very powerful about a good story, don't you think?
There's magic hiding in a pen. You just have to conjure it out.
Josh will actually nod at this, and I completely understand, and I agree with you, Mr. Red. I'm very glad to have met your acquaintance. You're gonna have to loosen up a little bit around me, though. You make me nervous.
Loosen up, as in? How, more exactly? I've been told by others that I am one of the more loose members, but it seems I'm still not loose enough.
You see, Joshua kind of looks up at this guy. Oh boy, all you mystics, you guys gotta. Don't you have any jeu de vivre, the love of life? You gotta emotion, my friend.
Motion. He turns his head a bit, moves his shoulders left and right, tries to feel himself around a bit. I barely knew motion as a mortal. It would be interesting to learn it as a kindred.
Well, you have nothing but time ahead of you, my friend.
Indeed. It would be very interesting to learn some new things. After all, we've talked about knowledge and how to usher it forth. It would be an interesting thing. And as for crime novels, they're a good food for thought, especially for those more perceptive of us. A good author always manages to keep suspense one way or another. I am very pleased to make your acquaintance, Mr. Smith.
Apologies to interrupt, gentlemen. And the prince waves a hand, beckoning Mr. Cole forward.
Cole begins moving over towards the prince. The flagrum, or nine-tails cat item, given to him by Carl Voltaire in his hands. Is it time, my prince?
I believe so. Have all the guests assembled?
There are many kindred here. I believe only the most tardy have not arrived yet.
Then you may continue.
Cole nods to Darrow as he begins to prepare for the upcoming spectacle, the justice of the prince. Cole bows, excusing himself from the others, and disappears into the crowd.
The prince stands and addresses the crowd. Kindred of the Camarilla, you are here to bear witness to the punishment of one Juan Carlos of Clan Toreador. He is to be received no fewer than 20 lashes from our sheriff for his flagrant disrespect of the sixth tradition. He allowed a Sabbat informant to run free and was unable to capture the foul creature for interrogation. Instead, destroying Miss Quinn with his fangs. For his ineptitude and for his endangering of every kindred within this city due to his own blind moral code and ineptitude at a task laid before him. His arrogance in not calling upon help when needed, He is to be punished publicly. The fighting pit will now be open for all comers. But do not think that you can hide your faces for those weak of stomach. All will witness his punishment, for it is but the lightest touches compared to what true failure will mean. And with that, the prince gestures towards the large, big screens into the main room, at which the cameras flicker and fuzz, showing the fighting pit dark, lit only like a boxing ring, with a single light. And then more come on, seeing the form of one Carlos stepping forward. If you wish to see what happens within this on the TV screens, there will be another video posted shortly. But in swift order, the sheriff administers the lashes with the exquisitely crafted cat of nine tails provided, a wolf's head at the mouth with rose patterns. 20 lashes.
Darrow watches the first few lashes strike on the back. Doesn't know the man, but he knows he killed a packmate. He has heard the rumours that she is perhaps a Sabbat infiltrator and didn't know her very well, regardless. But one of his own has been killed, and he takes some measure of satisfaction that punishment has been doled out. After the first 4 or 5 lashes strike, he then turns his attention away from the video screens and focuses individually on the people in the room surrounding them, taking note to see who's watching, who's not, who looks disturbed.
The figure dressed up in a very cheap, ghoulish Halloween mask while wearing the standard black and white suit with cheap gloves, very almost mockery of the black tie event. Even through the holes in the mask, he watches the flogging of Juan Carlos intently. His goal was to wait until the room was more empty before approaching the prince, and he did not expect the flogging to happen this early. But he does do as the prince commands, and beholds the price of failure.
Joshua likewise watches the monitor very closely. After a few moments, he turns very slightly towards Mortimer. Well, Morty buddy, can't think of a better place to hold a flogging than perhaps a place as grim as this, am I right? Very quietly amongst the two of them.
It is... I suppose it is fitting in this dark place, surrounded by all manner of beasts, creatures of fancy and fear. It is almost poetic. If one of the kind were to witness this, they might even think that this is some sort of elaborate play. Fake blood, prop, whip, is you can actually see through the eyes that he winces as the punishment is given.
Ah, but it's all too real, isn't it? Says an almost surprising voice from next to you.
Well, he'll totally jump at that and look around to see Carl Voltaire there.
Mr. Fitzgerald, I believe.
Mr. Voltaire.
You sort of look up at a very large, hulking black man with a skull for a head, smoking on a large cigar. At your service.
I could recognize your voice anywhere. It It is very memorable.
And Cole happily watches as each lash of the whip lands. I hope your clanmate appreciates the whip. I made it specially.
I'm sure that they will not soon forget the craftsmanship of your implement, Mr. Voltaire. After all, the Toreador have a great appreciation for all manner of crafts.
I thought if we're going to have to do something ugly, it should be done with an object of beauty.
He just stares at you at that.
A fitting symmetry, I think.
Joshua keeps control of himself, and he turns to call up Voltaire. Ah, Mr. Death something. Your pustules are looking very nice this evening.
As Mortimer will just look at Joshua with wide eyes. He's like, he can't believe that you just heard him say that.
Cole looks down at sort of the death head skull with the cigar in the mouth and the top hat on, and turns to Mortimer. Is your friend okay?
I do not know. As he just sort of looks at Joshua more intently.
Joshua's looking a little brazen, kind of leans back in the chair. Goes back to watching the monitor.
One, Mr. Smith. Even in my real form, I don't have any pustules to worry about.
I do believe, if I was a gambling man, Mr. Voltaire, our friend here has partaken of the devil's nectar, if it were.
Ah, so not just simple then.
You see Joshua's gritting his teeth and watching the monitor, trying not to turn.
Anyway, this is Elysium, so...
Apologies, gentlemen. Is that Isaac Milliner?
And Cole turns around to look.
Gentlemen, would you mind fetching Mr. Milliner? I would like a few choice words.
Cole, at that point, drops the barren sandy look that he'd been wearing and goes back to his natural form. And goes towards the door to see who is trying.
Apologies, I did not mean to interrupt.
Joshua actually is watching this quite surprised and turns. He has an inkling of who it is, but isn't quite sure.
Mortimer is very interested by this interesting turn of events, so he will just sort of observe this scene as it happens.
William leans back in his chair and watches the scene unfold, not wanting to take any part in the events, especially since the prince looks to be irritated about this Isaac Milliner. His attention seems to switch between the screen and the action happening inside the Elysium.
Akal is standing, his fingers are playing with the cup that he brought from the antique store to complete his outfit of the Mad Hatter. He's watching the screen. He's doing it more because he is the Primogen and he has to be here, though on his face it's quite evident that he doesn't want to see this. And as the noise from behind him of this supposed Giovanni being here catches his attention, he turns and, finding the excuse to separate himself from the screens, he approaches the scene with the Giovanni.
It seems that it's not to our dear friend Heikal's taste.
This Josh was actually going to lean a little over to Mortimer again, almost confiding in him. Oh, the Giovanni and the Elysium. I guess the Nosferatu are just letting anyone in the door.
Although this will add a very good distraction from the humiliation of our clan. I mean, after all, the
I don't
enemy.
know. The back speaks for itself.
I actually didn't catch what you said.
Your boy's back speaks for itself.
Josh will actually.
Waiting for all to
I believe his debt has been paid, his pound of flesh, as they say.
His pound of flesh lies on the floor. His debt is indeed paid. He took it as well as he could.
Such is the price of failure.
Don't believe we have had the pleasure to meet.
Quite. Mortimer Fitzgerald, as he will remove his mask and say, Harpy of Clan Toreador.
Pleased to meet you, Morty. My name's Darrow. Hope you don't mind me calling you Morty.
Not at all.
Good.
As he will smile now that the ghoulish mask is off. His idea for the costume was to be able to switch between a very campy, like, B-movie slasher thing and the true elegant Toreador that lies beneath.
Joshua leans in towards Mr. Darrow, and Joshua Smith, also Toreador.
Two Rosies come to witness the flogging of their fellow Wrath. Pleased to meet you, Josh. Hope you don't mind if I call you Josh.
Oh, not at all. I've even heard Joshy around here before.
Seems a bit too familiar for me.
As this is unfolding, William Red leans in a bit towards the speakers. Excuse me if I was rude a few moments ago, and extends a hand to Mr. Mortimer. William Red, pleased to make your acquaintance. I don't think we have. And after shaking his hand, he makes the same gesture towards Darrow.
Darrow's hand just continues picking his nails with his knife. Pleased to meet you, Willie.
Yes, it is a pleasure. You have some very interesting ideas, Mr. Red? Or perhaps you would just prefer if I call you William.
Call me William, please. Interesting as in how?
Well, like my fellow here as he motions towards Joshua, I too am a wordsmith, as it were. An avid enthusiast for the power of language.
He
Carl,
smiles when he hears language. Oh, sorry.
Carl comes back into the scene, walking slowly, and behind him is what appears to be an old man. I will allow Isaac to describe himself at the appropriate term. He does it better than I do. May I introduce the Don, Isaac Milner? I have extended courtesy of Elysium to him.
You overstep yourself. Don Milliner. You are fully... Oh, and Lucius Milliner! My word! A real showing of Giovanni today.
Of course, my prince, for this Halloween. Did you expect any different? And yes, you can now see as Isaac steps to the forefront that he carries his Boston Diabolico, and he wears a long, loosely fitting, black, spotless, very clean robe, as black as the night sky itself. He's rather difficult to make out, vaguely impossible to see even in very dim lighting. Of course, it is a nice contrast to his very pale and almost translucent skin, that pale white stretch of flesh so thoroughly stretched over his long, pale skeletal hands and facial features. But of course, as always, he has a very charismatic and warm smile on his face. This old necromancer.
And flanking him to his left will be Lucius Milliner, rather, well, much younger, much less remarkable looking man, for better or worse, in a extremely well dressed in a three-piece suit, about 5'9", very, well, fairly muscular, fairly stubbly, but well kept. As I said, you can pass this man in the street and not really blink an eye, except there is a slight lashing of something deeper lurking within him that you might just catch occasionally as a brief glimpse of his true monstrous nature, who just smiles warmly at you.
Carl turns towards Lucius. This one I did not see.
I see. So, tell me, Mr. Milliner, part of the fact that you have been restricted access towards court, as per the agreement of 1528, did you not fucking understand? I gave you all the sodding courtesy in the world, bowing down to the prom between our sects that you have just violated. Why? Why on earth have you come here before me? I would like to hear it from your words.
Of course, as a lawyer, I pride myself on making a strong case, and I will do so. My prince is, of course, correct. A very nice detail of you to catch. And the promise of 1528, also known as the Promise of Venice, or the Treaty of Venice, more aptly, forbids Giovanni to interfere with courts if they were not properly invited or, in fact, were barred consciously. This is very true, and you are well to highlight that fact. Although, may I, of course, clarify a thing that Elysium is per definition neutral ground, and court is the event which takes place often in Elysium, but is not Elysium per definition. There's a difference between the two. For Elysium is the place, and court is the event.
No,
Therefore,
Mr. Milliner, you overstep yourself. Elysium is the place when Elysium is not being held. This is the Prince's Court, an event hosted by the Nosferatu, which you have been specifically denied access.
You invited me here, my prince.
Who invited you in?
Voltaire here asked me to, well, visit you. Oh no, excuse me. He required an audience. I was invited.
You were summoned.
Summoned, excuse me.
You entered the door on your own free will, did you not?
Could be argued. But the truth of the matter is that you did request my presence here.
I did, because I saw you wandering into my Elysium, and I am wondering why, when you have been specifically denied it. Don't lawyer me, Milliner. We had an understanding. I, in fact, decided to let you and your sickening little independent family go, and you, once again, spit in my face, you arrogant, self-righteous,
my prince.
He is fuming, like literally he is barely holding control. I am going to have to do self-control roll here because I might just frenzy. Oh, thank God.
My prince, please. I understand that emotions are rather tense, of course, in these very trying times, but I thought that on a day of celebration, Halloween of all things, a day and night we should all rejoice as brothers and sisters, as kindred, of course, in the very definition of the word, for we are all kin one way or another. I thought, of course, that I would go on a mission of diplomacy. For do you not think that some even call it an embargo to be melodramatic would have lasted long enough? Verily, trust me when I say that I deeply desire for this misunderstanding to come to a rest. Of course, we Giovanni hold no grudges. Of course not. Existence is too beautiful to sully with these little rivalries and grudges and wars and embargoes. Please, my prince, as done with the Giovanni families of New Sam, I fully lay myself at your feet, and I ask you, I kindly request of your eminence to allow us back within your good graces, to once more welcome us, arms spread wide and hearts wide open, for we would like nothing more than to put all of this behind us, to continue trade fair and honest, as we always have, and to once more become a upstanding pillar, an example for anyone who wishes to uphold the traditions, of course. It's all I ask.
Lucius scans the room as this grandiose speech emanating from his don's mouth continues. He'll size up the figures in the room and step forward, no longer flanking his don. Judging by the hostility in the room, thick enough to cut with a knife, I presume entering here, my prince, without a sufficient gift would be extremely ill-advised, and my don, with permission, I would like to grant the prince
Isaac, shut up your little dog.
Please, Lucius, remain quiet for now.
Why on earth should I welcome you back? What on earth do you have to offer me?
My prince, we, the Giovanni families, have always been the closest thing to an ally to Camarilla in a world of strife and turmoil, a world of pestilence and decay, a world of war and embargoes, a world of wars and embargoes. We've been the closest things you could call to an ally, and of course we, even your elders and mine, always like for us to remain that allies. The promise is a testament to it even, of course, and as a show of good faith, once more I humbly lay myself at your feet, and I deeply request that you can put this grudge aside as a just prince, and to give us a second chance.
So you come to me with words. No offering, just words. Empty words.
I come to you with passion, the passion of my genuinity and my commitment, for passion is the power to change the whole entire world. This ask your friends in the Bruja, they would all agree. I do not speak hollow words, no, for mine ring true in every sense of the word, and my words are deeply affectionate and deeply seated in my own passion. Please, my prince, you are free, of course, to deny my request as you see fit, but let it be known that I would wish for nothing more to put this all behind us, and to allow the entire city, all of our kindred, whatever sect they belong to once again reawaken from this nightmare and find themselves in a dream that could be, of course, this paradise of a city, this example of, well, a new age Camarilla city.
Speechless and dumbfounded, the prince leans back, steeples his fingers. Isaac Milliner. I deny your request, and accept that you have broken the promise of 1528. I have every loyal camera member within this hall stake you where you stand. I will send you as a gift basket for you and Dunsan.
Each sucks.
And we'll end the scene there for Chris, on that nice cliffhanger.